Karibu to the Man Talk 254. Show ambayo inaleta wanaume wote pamoja, tunajiongea, tunajisikia, tunajaribu kusikia life experience zenyu. Najua mnaona mgeni wetu hapa si ati ni mgeni vile, mmemzoea kila time. Labda tu atukumbushe tu jina ndio tuweze kuendelea.
Naitwa Allan Asava na nimefurahi sana leo kuwa part of Man Talk 254 show kushare my life experience.
Yeah. Yes. Asante sana bwana Allan kwa kuja. Najua wenyewe wanaume tunapitia vitu mob sana. Na obvious hata mtu ikimea inaanzanga mahali. So sisi tungependa tu tujue kwa life ni vitu gani umepitia, challenges gani na umezi overcome aje. Na pia unaweza tushauri aje sisi wenye tunapitia through hard times. Itakuwaje possible vile tutaweza pata hiyo breakthrough ama tujione the other way bila kushiriki kwa vitu mbaya, ama kama ulishiriki vitu mbaya utachange aje?
Okay. Maybe ningependa kushare one of because very many life defining moments, but maybe there is one or two ambayo ningependa for the purpose of today's conversation maybe to get a little kidogo my child upbringing. I am a third one of my father, not a second one of my mother. Third born of my father, second born of my mother, brought up in a family of 5 boys, so tuko vijana wa 5. Brought up with by very promising parents, and then at some point I think I was around the age of 9-10, tragedy hit our home and we lost our father. 4 years later, mother was diagnosed with cancer of the breast, and she passed on. So that's where life began to us, because my parents very promising, very hardworking mother. She was growing in ranks in terms of what she was doing. Very promising father, very hardworking man, and then growing up, seeing both your father and mother, and then all of a sudden, they are not there. And that's when life began. That's when life began. And it has never been the same again. It is very hard to grow up without parents. If there's how I can define what it means to have a difficult upbringing, is to grow up without parents, especially being raised without your parents, because Toyota is raise you up, but there's a difference between when you are raised by your biological parents and when you are raised by other parents, whether they are spiritual parents or guardians. So I think the loss of our parents is one of the most defining moments personally in my life, because many people want to consider me my parents beloved. When kwa familia kuna wana kule kale ka ule mmoja ambaye everybody thinks this one is loved more than everybody else. So to me it was hard. In fact, I rarely share about this. I grew up very suicidal after the loss of my father and my mother. I was a very suicidal kid with low self-esteem issues, extremely low self-esteem issues. Watu usikie nikiongea ati naweza nikakuwa vocal, hawajui kuna wakati singeongea because I did not know how. Because I think we grew up in a very overprotective parents. Those parents who protect their children. Mtu hawezi kuangalia na macho mbaya, wakuspay, they will come for you. So we were too guarded. And then all of a sudden the guard is not there. Now you are vulnerable. Anybody can insult you, anybody can beat you. Mtu anaweza kufanyisha anataka. And that experience really was a trauma to some of us. It beat us, ilitupiga sana. I developed low self-esteem issues. It was hard. At some point you're thinking life is not worth anything if you cannot see people who matter. So basically the loss of our parents, my late dad, mom, defined let me say, it changed everything. I keep saying, maybe I would not be where I am today. You know, maybe I would not be where I am today if they were there. But also, I appreciate the fact that there is a reason why also they are not there. Because their being not there changed the course of my life, changed the course of my siblings' lives. But it is not easy. It is very difficult to grow up without your biological parents. It's very hard. Yeah. So their loss actually was, number one, a huge defining moment in my life. Yes. Okay. So just to win against a upbringing without biological parents, to me is a major milestone. Because najua watu wengi sana ambao after the loss of their parents, they did not know how to begin. They did not know how to find their path in life, our progress. So we've come up. Right now, I think November this year, it will be 30 years since my late dad passed. Sometime in October, maybe it will be around 25 years since my late mom passed. So it's been a long journey, but we keep pushing.
But everything happens with a reason.
Oh yes, that's true. That's what I'm saying. There is a reason why I'm here. Yeah. Maybe that's the reason why I'm here. Because maybe if I had my parents present, I would not be here. Because I want to believe every parent has a dream for their children. Maybe the dream they had for me is not the dream I'm living in today. Exactly. So everything happens for a reason, and some of us, because we understand these things, then we thank God that what happened the way it happened, so that we can become who we have become. So maybe we have become who we've become because of what happened when it happened. Yeah.
Well, yeah. No, I assure you, it's not easy. So what is the most difficult part in your face for life?
To me, the most difficult part, still connected to the same, is the fact that by virtue of not having parents, I grew up being misunderstood. When you grow up as an orphan, you are misunderstood by everybody. Even up to today, I have siblings who have never recovered from that loss. Because everywhere they are misunderstood by how they live, because people do not know where they're coming from. Because kuna watu wanaishi na trauma even for 50 years. Loss is a big loss can be eternal. Kuna watu hawawezi move after loss. And sometimes watu make wrong decisions in life because they lost something. And that loss ikawafanya waka lose a certain bearing in life. The fact that they live the way they live, it's because that loss iliwakosesha certain to lose a certain bearing, and to some extent they have never found their footing, or they never get to find their footing. And so people live the way they live because of what happened in the past. And to me, I think growing up without parents, you are misunderstood by everybody. Because sometimes you believe only your parents understand you, because they brought you to this world. Maybe they know you better than everybody else knows you. And everybody else thinks they know you, but only people who are close to you really know you. So I think one of my biggest challenges was the fact that I grew up being misunderstood. In school, I was misunderstood. When I was growing up as a young person, I was misunderstood in so many ways. Yeah, but that was a real challenge. And then, of course, parents who are of a support system. When you're growing up as a teen, you can easily call your parents and ask for financial help. I need to, maybe you go to the best school. But when you lose parents, you don't decide which school you go. It's like people are doing you what? Favor. Wanafanyia favor kupeleka shule. So hata kutupa ile shule, itabidi tu uende. Because but you can be sure, uko sure kama maparents wako wangekuwa hawangekupeleka ile shule umepelekwa. But also circumstances in the force. You may have to settle for something you would have never settled for. And that's a huge challenge. Basically means that when you grow up in life, you learn to compromise. Una compromise education, you would have gone to the best school, now you cannot afford to go to the best school. So you have to settle even for something that maybe your parents could have never settled for. So that's to me it's a huge challenge.
Yani uko zero grazing.
Uko yes.
Unajua saizi vile unaongea hivyo. Najua watu wengi wanataka kujua from sasa tuseme wazazi vile walikuwa wameenda. What happened from there mpaka ukakuja umeingia shule, vile mko mnaishi, wewe na masiblings zako. Who took care of you?
I had the privilege initially after our parents passed. One of my father's elder brothers took us in. Took us through most part of primary, because when our parents died, we were still in primary. Except my elder brothers who were in So one of my father's elder brothers took us in, but because of again misunderstandings, it was very hard for us to continue staying with him. So we moved from and we moved, by the way. You know, tulitembea kwa my relatives. Tuliishi kwa relatives wote. Yeah. Oh, sometimes I would leave my small brothers, and then they are not comfortable. They have to leave again. So we kept moving. Meaning kwa ule auntie, we have kwa auntie, we have kwa uncle. But initially we were together, and then when things begin to get tough, because that's what I'm saying, there's a challenge when you're not being raised by your own parents. You know, your own parents can accommodate your nonsense, but other people, fika mahali unakuwa na limits, unachoka, unaget. So need a lot of misunderstandings. People begin to feel like they are doing you favor, and of course they are doing you a favor. So by virtue of wanakufanyia favor wewe ukaa kwao, they can do whatever they want. They can call you names, they can say things, you know, every day they would remind you that your parents are dead, so you have to you understand, you have to humble there, stay there, become nobody, because you understand. So we kept moving to my mother's sister here, my mother's sister there, my father's brother here. So we grew up, some of us, through the hands of so many. But for me, coming from my father's elder brother, I went to my mother's elder brother. That's where I did my, after finishing class 8, then I went to secondary school. Then from secondary school, to me I was fortunate because nikiwa high school, I used to play football. So issues of school fee as equal a big deal because the school I was in, it was used to be a sports powerhouse. So ukiwa player footballer, uko na advantage. So when watu wakisukuzwa because of school fees, they cannot afford to get you out of school because they need you in school to play for the school. You understand? So high school I was a bit stable because of the football part. And then I did my class, my Form 4. Then, while playing football in Kamega County, nikapata privilege ya kukuja Nairobi to play for a football team. That's how I came to Nairobi.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Yeah. But it was hard. Honestly speaking, going through school was hard. It was, I think, one of the biggest challenges. I cannot even mention the small issues that came through. At some point, some of my even small brothers, at some point they had to drop out of school. Yeah, because of those dynamics. They had to drop out of school, whether in primary or secondary. My elder brothers also, they dropped out of school. I think I was lucky to be the one to go through it, especially the primary and the secondary one. Then I managed to take myself to a college. Yeah.
It's easy.
Yes.
It's not easy. Mimi naweza imagine tu kwa mtoi. Uko tu okay, either ni relative ama nani, but unajua kuna zile limits. Unakuwa umepatiwa kabisa. Huwezi fanya hivi ama sasa unatumika vilivyo. Endo bebe maji mtu mzima.
Utatumika, utachunga ng'ombe. Kwanza ni ushago. Utachunga ng'ombe, utaenda mtoni. Utafanya with those things, not because there's anything wrong with those things, but sometimes you feel you're forced to do those things because you have no option. Yeah, sometimes you feel like even your own people, they find it's like cheap labor. These boys hanging around here.
Unajua ni favor vile.
Wanakufanyia favor. Wewe hapa siku yenyu. Wewe umekuja juu circumstances zimekuforce kuwapa. So enda mtoni, fanya hivi. And there is absolutely nothing wrong doing those things. But when you're doing them because unajua lazima utumike, because that's not where you're supposed to be, that's what makes the difference. So when you have conversations with people who've never had the privilege of who are raised by their own parents, you'll understand that it's very hard to be an orphan. It's very hard to grow up without your biological parents. You can have foster parents, guardians, or whatever, but how you grow up under the umbrella of a guardian or an adopted parent or mother or father is not the same when you grow up under the shade of your own biological mother and father. The difference is so huge.
Wow. Now, hiyo sasa tuseme mko mnaishi na hapa ama ni rural area?
Our parents were urban people.
Okay.
Like I've said, they were progressing very well in life. My mother was a very career woman. And she had her objectives right, and she was rising in ranks. She was what today we would say a middle class, going up there. Middle class parents, they are going up. Middle class, they are rising, right?
Yeah.
So we were in urban spaces, but now after their demise, what do? You go back to rural. Lazima ende ushago. Lazima some mtoke tao, nje mashambani. Then also that change from what you are tao, asa mnaenda kukaa ushago. Transition from shule za town to shule za ushago. Shule mali mlikuwa mnaenda shule na viatu, sasa mnaenda ushago, hata inabidi sasa mtoe viatu. Kwa sababu sasa mkienda kwa shule na viatu mna look the old ones out. Because that's a fact. Sasa mkiendaje shule na nyinyi pekee ndio mko na viatu. Everybody else doesn't have watu into the viatu. So mna feel as in everything has changed. Everything has changed. Yeah.
So kuna wale najua kwa life saizi maybe anapitia the same what you went through. Wewe kama ulikuwa hapo unajua zile vitu zenye zina oppress kabisa. Kanaweza jua tu kitu ina oppress na vile unaweza ziocome na vile unaweza tu yani kujivumilia tu ili wapate the best in future.
To me, I think what is important for anybody ambaye ako in such kind of spaces or places in life is number one, lazima the first thing ni kujielewa. Understand? Mtu ajielewe. But licha kujielewa, watu wanasema lazima pia ujikubali. Ukubali kwamba this is where you are. And then ujiulize maswali kama, now that I understand where I am, but I also understand who I am, then what do I need to do? To me, I think one of the things ambazo zimenisaidia sana ni I've always tried in my life to keep the right company. Always in my life, nimejaribu sana to keep the right company. I always strive to be in the company of right people. People ama watu ambao wanaweza kukusaidia kimawazo. Watu ambao wanaweza kukujenga kimawazo. Hata kama hawezi kukusaidia kifedha, lakini wanaweza kukusaidia kimawazo. That means wanaweza kukusaidia kuona the way things are supposed to be seen. You understand? So at some point as I was growing up, really outgrow the idea of being an orphan. You understand? I overgrew the idea of being an orphan, and I do no longer see myself as an orphan, even though the fact that I don't see myself as an orphan does not change the fact that I was raised. I was not raised with parents. So outgrowing, because as long as mtu outgrow what it means to be an orphan, you can eternally be stuck, because that space comes with a lot of disadvantages. So unaweza ishi maisha ya feel you are disadvantaged, meaning and that disadvantage in itself, it will rob you the power to fight for better things or greater things, because utakuwa na ile idea that you are disadvantaged, and the reason why you're disadvantaged is because you do not have. So the moment you outgrow the idea of being an orphan, then nikikuja kwa barabara, I will not fight for that opportunity as one who is disadvantaged. Mimi nitakaa tu kwa na wase wengine wote without them even knowing that I'm coming from a place of disadvantage. So outgrow what it means to be an orphan. Accept that that's what you are. But I will also tell people, accept that you cannot allow your past to define your future. Because if you allow your past to define your future, you can also get stuck. Scripture inasema, if anybody be in Christ, he is a new creature. In others, there is a place where you have to experience rebirth. Now, okay, experience rebirth, it means that everything that is in the past, unayofanya nini? Unaiweka in the past, unaangalia zile vitu ziko mbele, then you ask yourself, what do I need to do to get there? Then you begin to go there without looking back. Otherwise, if you keep looking back, uta end up kama story ule mama kwa Bible, the wife to Lot. He kept looking back and he turned into something else. So you have to outgrow. Stop looking back from where you're coming from to define where you want to go. Yeah. So keep the right company. Outgrow the feeling of being an orphan and every disadvantages that it brings about. Yeah.
Inaona nini? Kenye unasema ni accept, then you adjust.
Adjust, yes.
Then,
yes, adjust.
Thinking beyond my nose. Sasa kuangalia nyuma.
Yes.
Kuangalia thinking beyond my nose.
Yes.
Sasa kuna ule mzazi. Hiyo unajua wazazi raundi unaweza patia mtoto the best. But unajua this is life. Anything can happen at any time.
That's right.
So what advice would you give the parents on how to raise their kids? Ndio kitu kama ina happen, yani they are not there, they don't have any support. Vile watu wanaweza saidika.
To me, my advice to parents is, number one, it is an honor to raise your own children. It is such a huge honor. If you're a parent, now uko na privilege ya kukuwa part of your child's life, you should consider it a very great honor. And honor comes with responsibilities, right? Basically meaning you have responsibilities over your children. Now, one of those responsibilities parents will honor over their children is to build up systems that will guarantee their children to be in school all the time. Because let me tell you, education has a very huge role in defining what people become. Even today, mtu ambaye hayuko educated suffer certain disadvantages. You understand? So you have to work out a system or a formula that will guarantee that even when you're not there, your children will do what? Will go through school. Whether it is college or university, whether they will have to go through a technical institution or something, but make sure as a parent you come up with a platform or a system that it will guarantee your children to, because I think to me and maybe my siblings, one of the things that has worked against us is the fact that we never went through school proper. There was no consistency in how we went through school. You can imagine, I think primary is almost shule sita.
Never.
Shule sita. Secondary I was at least in 2. You understand? But my brothers, maybe it was worse. We keep moving because ukitoka kwa uncle A ukienda kwa uncle B, una have to move. Ukitoka pia uko utakuwa misunderstood. And because you are disadvantaged and you're being done favor, at some time point utachoka because watu wote hawako patient enough. You understand? So you have to keep moving. You have to keep moving. So if you can establish a system where guarantees your children to go through school, I think as a parent you should invest. We should invest in seeing our children through school.
Why I'm asking that, kuna ile standard we raise our kids. Kuna standard yenye sio patia ukitoka inakuwa pia ni disadvantage kwao. Kwa ajili before they come, na zile vitu tulikuwa mwazoeshea.
Yes.
Itakuwa ni very difficult for them
to adjust.
Na maana unapata wengi wanakuwa na zile suicidal thoughts.
Yes.
Na ni mtoto mdogo.
Because you don't know how to manage post or past not having parents. Yeah.
So hiyo ndio tunaangalia naona advice hapa inafaa kwa ajili kama tunasema kila kitu inaanza from the roots ili kuja juu. At least to give them a good advice how to raise their kids na how to overcome some of these challenges.
But also parents need to know that there's a time maybe they'll not be there. because even if it's not by virtue of death, sometimes what we outgrow their homes. Yeah, you become an adult, you move out of home. So ile time uko na opportunity ya kuraise mtoto wako, raise them right, so that after when you're not there, and whether you are there or not there, the difference is the same, because you've put in them the right thing. Otherwise, the moment a child moves out of their parents' house, they can become something different, simply because maybe the parents were not there to train these children or to educate them to become a certain people. You understand? Yeah.
Unajua kuna kitu mimi follow sana. Kuna kitu liona you're doing about the street kids. Now I'm getting the point why you're doing this. Kwa ajili nimeona mahali umetoka na najua umeexpress hiyo feeling yako kwa watoto kwa streets.
Yes.
Yeah. Sasa nimepata the clear picture of
I think when uki grow from a background that is disadvantaged, when I put something in you, you know, it is wrong to come out of a place and forget that you were once there. You understand? Kuna mtu ajalala kwa street, so hajui. Mimi nimelala, because we don't talk about these stories. Even in Nairobi, I have slept on streets. The first day niliara in Nairobi, nililala kwa streets for 2 days, because mtu alikuja kuchukua 2 days later.
Walimanejaje ku?
Nililala pale ilikuwa kaambazo usiku. Yeah, I was there for like 2 days, because there was a misunderstanding between the person who was supposed to pick me up and his family. I think the guy had not informed the wife that he's having a visitor. So they had a misunderstanding in the family, and the wife was like, no, I was not expecting a visitor. You understand? So the guy did not know how to come pick me against the wife's will. So it was 2 days. So not just even that, not even far away. There's a time we had a misunderstanding with one of my cousins I was staying with, and I had no choice. So mtu ambaye ajalala kwa street haizielewa what it means to a street child. And that's why I think talking about the street child initiative. I think it's an initiative that one was started by a friend, one of my friend who started the initiative. So I'm a support system, because I understand why it is important for that street child to have a meal. It's why it is important for us to look for mechanisms to either to rehabilitate those kids, or to help them just even on streets, at least have a kidogo dignity in that pathetic place. You can be in a very pathetic place, but have some kidogo dignity in terms of how you dress, what you eat, because those kids can imagine staying on the streets. Sometimes they stay kwa ndani ya mitaro or that thing. Yeah.
Ushipiga okay. Kuna time fulani na remember hata mimi na story yangu. Ndio unaniambia hivi na nikumbusha kwa na story yangu. Kuna time nishaika hivi ushaona umetulia. Unasikia hii mawazo ni nyingi, usingizi kuji, there is a lot going through your head. So nikadecide tu hata nipige stroll mpaka tao. Miguu. Kutoka mali naishi. Nipige tu stroll man naenda street. Wewe unasema una shida. Yes. Kuna watu wana shida mob sana kule nje. Ili nifungua akili sana. Sana. Nilipiga hiyo trip kurudi home. Nilikuwa nishapata majibu poa sana solution, na nikalearn one thing. Appreciate.
Yes.
Appreciate what you have. Nikasema madharau sitafanyia mtu.
Because sometimes unafikiria hauna, then you realize kuna mtu hana hata ile uko nayo. Wewe unafikiria hauna, ni kama ule mtu there's a person who is trusting God for a shoe and is complaining he doesn't have a shoe. Then kuna mtu ana miguu.
Exactly.
Sasa wewe unalia, sina viatu, na kuna mtu hana miguu. Wewe achana wewe unataka viatu. There's somebody who does not have hiyo mguu, wewe unalia huna kiatu wewe hiyo mguu. So you're right.
Unajua nilipata na mtu very well learned. Mtu ameenda university, yako na masters zake whatever. Jamaa kwa street ananiambia within a blink of an eye life ilikuwa imechange.
Yes.
Na alini approach na ajui shida niko nayo nini nafaa nitembee usiku manane. Alini approach na akaniambia hii maisha usifanyie mwingine madharau. Inaweza kurudia hivi. Inageuka. So nililana a lot. Ndio hata mimi na story yangu. Nitaipiga tu siku moja, tutakuja tu kaa hapa chini tupige sasa story yetu vizuri. But nimelearn to appreciate maisha hivyo vile huko. But one thing nilisema sitaikuwa coward. Kitu inanibo ndakwambia tu hapo there and then, but in a good way.
That's right.
Hiyo tu kitu moja nikuja tu kulala. So kwa hii story yote maybe tupatie closing.
Closing to me, number one, anybody out there, there are things we cannot do without. And to me, one of those things you cannot do without is faith in God. Your relationship with God. I think to me that also has defined my going forward. That God consciousness, that trust in God and faith that the future, as bright as it is, I'm still in the making to become everything that God created me to become. So in spite of how I grew up, in spite of the challenges that I've suffered in the past, they were just challenges, and those challenges have turned many of them to become channels. Like for example, saying, growing up with self-esteem related issues, and today most people who look at me, they consider me a very articulated person, very bold in so many ways, and sometimes you'll be amazed that what was working against you growing up actually turns around and becomes your advantage. So what was your disadvantage now is become your advantage. So to guys outside there, learn to allow God consciousness to define your going into the future. You cannot have God and be with God and remain the same person you were yesterday, because God is ever causing things to change around us. So what I am today, I'm sure is not what I'll be tomorrow. And I'm also sure it is not what I was yesterday, because He's a God of progress. Scripture inasema He's a God who takes His people from what? From strength to strength. And I'm growing stronger every day because of my trust, faith in God, but most importantly, always keeping the right company. Always, at all times, keep the right company.
The right company. For me, I know we keep pushing, God will do the moving.
Yes.
Or rather,
that's a good one. Yes.
Despite what you're going through, remember, we plan, but God decides.
Yes.
You just keep doing what you're doing. One day you get your breakthrough. Now, all the men out there, please, this is a platform for you. We want you to come out in large. Let's speak out. Let's try and help each other. Be a leaning shoulder to each other. Hapo tutajipata tuko mbali sana. To all our social media handles, you just type the word The Man Talk 254. Or rather, it's The Man Talk 254. If you want to talk to us, if you want to engage to any of us, maybe you have something you want to ask, feel free. Hapo kwenye YouTube, there is subscription. Ingia hapo, you'll get our Telegram link. Come there, let's talk, let's share, let's feel at home. Wanaume, tujiongee.
That's right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Allan.
Something.
Inaitwa Masterpiece.
Mentors. Yes.
Asante.
Wakitoka shule kelele. Najua mtoka shule lazima upige kelele.
Au piga hapa makelele mbaya. Pigane, ufanye nini?
Na plan gani? Something.
Kwa nafikiria